A series of bills aimed at improving the child welfare system were discussed at the State House today, and one of the proposed bills would provide training and support to Child Protective Services workers. The bill is asking that new caseworkers have smaller case loads for the first year of employment based on the intensity of each case. It also includes additional supervision and professional development and training for caseworkers. Supporters of the bill agree that reducing the caseload for new workers would help with retaining them. Well, no one spoke in opposition of the bill today, but one woman who is neutral regarding the bill says the Office of Children and Family Services is working with the University of Southern Maine to redesign their training foundation.
Additional efforts based on national and state recommendations include reduced caseloads and additional training for new caseworkers as they onboard into their new roles, ensuring they have sufficient opportunities to learn critical skills on the job and to understand the legal child protective process. Additional supervision during this time is important to provide additional coaching opportunities.
The redesign expanded the training from 5 to 7 weeks, tailored content for each of the two major categories of caseworkers, being investigation and permanency, incorporated the latest in adult learning theory, expanded the use of both classroom and e-learning training content, and enhanced the opportunity for staff to develop skills and knowledge firsthand through increased job shadowing experiences.
The bill also proposes flexible work opportunities, which may include working from home to complete paperwork.